Gilbert Arenas, Rashaad McCants, on Gil's Arena, they had interesting dialogue about this MVP discussion. I'm going to play it in its entirety, and then I'm going to play it back and pause it and address certain things because they had a lot of points they made in here.
Luka in his last 5 games is becoming a girl dad. 35 points per game, 12.4 assists. And the thing, like I said, the knock used to be his defense, obviously, still, he's not an elite defender, but he's trying. There seems to be a lot more effort, energy, activity.
What? You know what? I'll pause it now because I don't want y'all to have to listen because it's kind of long. I don't want y'all to listen to it twice. Listen to how they set this up. Luka, I don't even know why you even bring this up. They can say the last 3 or 4 games, but they said ever since he had his daughter, ever since he's become a girl dad, he's on the tear. He's averaging 34 and 12 assists, right? You're a point guard, and you're the only person who distribute the ball, especially since Kyrie Irving is out. So 12 assists sounds about right. But that's not what his average is for the season. I think he's averaging 32 points for the season and 8 rebounds and 9 assists, which Joel Embiid is averaging 34 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists. So as a point guard, you're getting 9 assists. As a center who doesn't play any point guard, who don't even really bring the ball, he don't even handle the ball as much as you, is getting 6 assists, right? So you're getting 9, he's getting 6. He's getting 34 points, you're getting 32. He's getting 12 rebounds, you're getting 8. All right, your team is already lost 9 games. You're 4th in the West. His team is 3rd in the East or 2nd in the East. Listen to the setup. We know he don't play defense, but he's trying, he's putting in effort. Does that sound like an MVP candidate for defense to be half of basketball? Defense is 50% of basketball. Offense is 50% of basketball. You telling me he's not elite defender, but he's trying. Does that sound like an MVP candidate?
So, listen, if his team if he can get into the top 4, he's MVP.
And that's what I was going to ask you. So, all NBA last season, numbers are similar to what they were before. Differences, Mavs were 11th last year, 3rd now in the West, 15 and 8. So, Gil, you saying that if they finish top 4 in the West, that MVP is his?
No, I mean, the last few MVPs
has been
Euros, but the team wasn't that good in the sense of Jokic, when he won, his team was 6th. Right?
Yeah.
So, and this is why you don't lower the bar for MVP. You keep the bar as high as possible, and the person that gets closest to that bar should get more consideration for MVP. Of course, there's exceptions to every rule. So if you make a rule on what MVP criteria should be, there's always exceptions. And I think the exception to history being made, just like with football, everyone knows the MVP is a quarterback driven award. It's hard if you're looking at stats and numbers. It's hard to get more stats and numbers at the quarterback. A quarterback is throwing to 3 different receivers who might be great to get numbers yards wise and touchdown wise. And if you're a quarterback like Cam Newton or Lamar Jackson who might use your legs, oh man, and you can also run it and get yards and touchdowns as well. It's gonna be hard to beat those numbers if you're a receiver or a running back. Even when you was Randy Moss, who set a record receiving touchdowns with the Patriots, you might have that record in receiving touchdowns. But guess what? Tom Brady got to throw to 3, 4, 5 different more receivers, including running backs. So his touchdowns are always going to be more than what yours are. And if he's throwing to you and you break a record, it's very likely he's close to a record or breaking a record as well, which is what happened with Tom Brady. And of course, the MVP is going to be the quarterback. So we know the MVP is a quarterback award, but there are exceptions when another position could win it. And it's when that player breaks records. I think the last running back who won MVP broke a record. I think it might have been LaDainian Tomlinson. Marshall Faulk might have won it when he broke a record. You got to break a record there to even be considered if you're not a quarterback. So whatever the criteria is for basketball, if it's offense, defense, team success, like I think it is, there is an exception, and that's if you do something that we've never seen before, like what Russell Westbrook averaging a triple-double for a whole season, and they awarded him with an MVP despite his team being in the 6th seed. Why did Jokic win it as a 6th seed? It's because, oh man, we got to reward him. We've never seen a center almost average a triple-double. He didn't quite average a triple-double, but he almost did, and he's a center. Never seen it. Give him the MVP. Despite him not having the team success at a high level, he was a 6th seed. They just explained that away by saying, well, he lost Jamal Murray and Porter. So team success is not important for this season because he didn't have his number 2 and number 3. And his defense was atrocious. So he only had the offensive side of it as far as statistics. He didn't have the team success. He wasn't playing defense. So he only had one leg. If you want to see my triangulation method, team success, offensive value, defensive value. So he didn't have the team success, didn't have the defensive value. All he had was offensive value in points and assists, right? And was a 6th seed with no defensive value and one MVP, right? So when you look at it that way, we lowered the bar for him because we made an exception because he lost his 2 and 3 and he almost set a record as a center. Same thing with Westbrook, 6th seed, and he wasn't offering a lot on the defensive end back then either. Didn't have the team success, but he broke a record or set a record or did something we haven't seen since Oscar, and we gave it to him, right? So that's why we don't lower the bar, because when you lower the bar, it's a slippery slope, and you got to keep lowering it, because now we're about to making another exception for Luka. Just because he's averaging close to a triple-double. Anything close to a triple-double is astounding to us for some reason. So if you average close to a triple-double, all for nothing on the defensive end as far as value, and then your team success is not at a high rate, because he's saying, man, just make it to a 4th seed, because we've done it for Jokic, we've done it for Westbrook. If he could just get 4th seed, then he's the MVP. Don't make a lot of sense to me.
Embiid last year was third or fourth.
Third,
So if he can get himself, I mean, Westbrook won one when his team was 4th?
6th.
Ain't that crazy how guys are winning MVPs and their team not number one? Like, I remember when your team had to be number one.
And I like it like this.
Okay.
Because the MVP is the best player in the league, the most dominant player in the league, not the best player on the best team.
All right. I'm glad Brandon Jennings said that. He said, isn't that funny that the MVP is, you don't have to have a top rated team to be the MVP? So how? And Arenas is saying, I like it like this though. I like it to where your team don't have to be that successful in order for you to be the MVP, because he's about to explain it in a way where I think a lot of people in the NBA circle looks at it. And I'll let him get to it. I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but I like that Brandon Jennings brought that part up, because yes, I think your team should. I think team success is important because it shows that what you're doing is actually leading to the ultimate goal, right? And you can't be more valuable than a guy that is valuable on offense and defense. It's impossible. It's impossible for you to be valuable on offense and not valuable on defense, and don't have team success and be more valuable to the league, be the league's MVP over a guy who is valuable on both ends of the floor and whose team is more successful than yours. Like, they don't make sense to me, right? When you break it down like this, it doesn't make sense. But when you break it down and be like, oh man, the way Gilbert is about to break it down, it's very confusing, and it's very confusing, and there's no standard. It can change and that's why the MVP criteria changes every single year. It's a living, growing, breathing standard. It's a slippery slope. It's just, you apply rules to one guy and don't apply it to the next guy. Like, it's just very weird. And what Arenas is about to explain is ridiculous to me. but I let him explain.
Huh? The best
You
player
disagree?
on the best team?
This is conversations that we've had before, but
Yeah.
How's that?
I thought that's how it always was.
Most valuable player in the league.
So the best player on the best team, he's attacking that notion. So let's put it into practicality, because the best player on the best team is not always going to be the MVP, but you have to give him consideration, and more consideration than the stat guy. The best player on the best team this year is Jason Tatum. All right, let's look at Jason Tatum's number. Like I said, his team is 20-5. He's averaging 27 points a game. Now, is that top 5 in scoring? No, because you got multiple guys averaging 30. Embiid's averaging 34. Luka is averaging 32. SGA is averaging 30. Kevin Durant is averaging 30. De'Aaron Fox might be averaging 29, right? And then you got the guys like Anthony Edwards and Jason Tatum, who both best record in the East, best record in the West. Jason Tatum, the Boston Celtics, has the best record in the league and in the East, and they have the number 2 rated defense in the league. Anthony Edwards' team is ranked number 2 in the league, number 1 in the West, and has the number 1 rated defense in the league. So they're hitting all the metrics, and they both are great defenders and contributing to that number 2 and number 1 rating on defense, right? You got to give them consideration. Now, the only thing that they might be lacking is numbers, because they're averaging 27, but they're not averaging 30. So 30 just looks sexier. The 2 points, the 32 points that Luka is averaging might look sexier than the 27 that Tatum is averaging. He's getting 9 rebounds. Luka is getting 8 rebounds. They both are getting 8 to 9 rebounds or whatnot. So they're both rebounding at a high clip, but Tatum is rebounding as a defender, right? Like he's a guy that if there's we're playing Anthony Edwards, or we're playing SGA, or we're playing De'Aaron Fox, or we're playing Luka, Tatum would be the guy who would take on this assignment and guard one of those top guys. And that's hard to get 8 rebounds and also guard the best players. So in order for you to do that, you got to be really busting your butt on defense, and you're probably getting some offensive rebounds on top of that as well, which is what Luka doesn't do. All his rebounds, out of his 8 rebounds he's averaging, I think 7 of them are defensive rebounds. He rarely gets offensive rebounds. He's not down there in the trenches really boxing out and doing it that way. You know, his rebounds are a result of him not being on the ball, playing the best the offensive guy on the opposing team. His rebounds come from standing in the corner guarding the least offensive guy on the team, and he gets to sag off and freelance and play free safety, and when the shot goes up, he can go run it down. Tatum is usually guarding the best offensive guy on the other team in a lot of cases, and he's still getting 8 rebounds. And then since he's not the point guard, like I said, remember, it's easy to get 4 assists when you're the best player because double teams coming your way, right? So when you have Drew Holiday as a point guard, who is a real point guard, and he's averaging about 8 to 9 assists, and then you have a backup in Derek White, who's a real point guard who's averaging about 6 assists, there's not going to be a lot of room for you to average 8 assists as well. So what do you value more? You getting 4 assists from Tatum, but you're getting lockdown defense, or the 9 assists from Luka with no defense? Which one is more valuable? Well, the team success usually, as a rule of thumb, tells you which player is more valuable, because my value is leading to more team success, and I'm valuable on 2 ends or both ends of the floor. That tells you who's more valuable. But the way Gilbert Arenas is about to explain it is he does it in a negative way. I do it in a positive way by saying, okay, team success tells me, and you doing it on both ends of the floor tells me who's more valuable. What he's going to do is say, if you take away this player, that his is more of a hypothetical and more of a negative. Let's by subtraction, let's see if this works. If I take Luka away, what does he win? No, that's not how I do it. by Luka being on the team, what are they winning? That's how you prove who's more valuable, by what your team does with you being on it, not by what your team does without you being on it.
Yeah, on the best team.
Because
the best team is the most valuable team.
But that's not the award. It's the most valuable player.
On the most valuable
So that means
team.
if I take you off your team, who's more valuable?
Y'all suck already. And I take you off y'all team, y'all still gonna suck. So after you're gone, like y'all, it don't matter.
So what makes you MVP if you really don't have to do nothing?
If we're the number one team and you take me off and we slide to number 8.
So,
But you won't.
Question for you: LeBron James, Cavs number one in the East. LeBron leaves,
Last place.
literally getting the first pick in the draft.
That shows you
Does that show you his value?
If the team was number 1
they were number one.
and he'd gotten MVP, right?
Went from barbecue to mildew.
He didn't.
He didn't get MVP.
No, he left. Just him leaving. His team went to last. Just him. Everyone else. Just him left.
Did he get the
Last
MVP the
place.
next year?
Barbecue to
He
mildew.
didn't get the MVP. He wasn't.
So first of all, that's not how that works. Let's dispel this myth that what Gilbert just said. He said just LeBron leaving. He said it twice. Just him. Nobody else left. Everybody else stayed. Just him left. Let's look at his roster. The year they won, on the right side, you see they won 61 games. That's the year he was there. That's the year they won first place in the division. I think they won 66 the year before that. They got put out by Dwight Howard in Orlando the year they won 66, and they got put out by Boston this year, right? But look at the roster. All right, you see Boobie Gibson, who was leading the league in 3-point shooting that year. You see Danny Green, great defender, great offensive player, well, good shooter, right? And a great defender. You see Big Z, 7'3", post player, all-star level player, made all-star while he was here in Cleveland. Shot blocker, can stretch the floor, hit the jump shot all the way to the 3-point line. You see LeBron, you see Antoine Jameson, you see Shaq there. You see Leon Powell, you see Delonte West, who was a good player for them. Didn't make any All-Stars, but he was a great player for them and a great third scorer. And you see Mo Williams, who also was an All-Star player with Cleveland, who was the second best player on that team. That's the team that won 66 games. Also look at the top where you see Mike Brown as the head coach and you see Danny Ferry as the GM, right? Let's look at the team to the left. Mike Brown is not the coach. We know how good of a coach Mike Brown is. We know how his system works. We see it working in Golden State when he was there, especially from the defensive end because he was the defensive coach there. And we see it working in Sacramento now. His system works. Mike Brown is we can now conclude that Mike Brown is a great coach because he's proved it. He proved it when he was in Cleveland, but everyone said Mike Brown wasn't good and LeBron made him. And it was just LeBron's show, but now he's dispelling that rumor. Same thing they said with Ty Lue, but Ty Lue is dispelling that rumor as well. They said LeBron made Ty Lue. Ty Lue's a great coach. Ty Lue's a great coach. Mike Brown's a great coach. LeBron's he's had great coaches before, right? And Eric Spoelstra in Miami is proven he's a great coach. So that narrative that LeBron never had no coach, let's end that now. But Mike Brown was the coach. Danny Ferry was the GM. Shaq was there. Big Z was there. Mo Williams was there. Delonte West was there. Gibson was there. That's 5 guys that was key to their offense. The next season, Mo Williams got traded to the Clippers. So he only played about 25 games with them, with the Cleveland Cavaliers. They got rid of him. They brought in a new coach, not Mike Brown, is a new GM. So the whole front office got fired. Whole new team. LeBron left. Boobie Gibson left. Big Z left. Shaq left. Eventually Mo Williams left. Whole new ball game. Right? So that rumor that LeBron left and the team just fell apart and LeBron was the only person that left is a lie. It wasn't even true when he left Miami. He left Miami's Chris Bosh got benched for the blood clots he kept having in his lungs. Chris Bosh got benched. D Wade couldn't stay on the court. He was his knees was too bad. He was unhealthy. So you really lost Wade and Bosh that year, along with LeBron. And then the coach got fired. Ty Lue got fired. Not Ty Lue. No, I'm thinking Cleveland. It was Miami. Now Eric Spoelstra was still there, but Wade and Bosh was gone. You lost Ray Allen. You lost Mike Miller. You lost almost every. It wasn't just LeBron that left. That's my point. But yeah, so it's that LeBron myth that when he leaves the teams fall apart just because he left. I think is a myth because you can see. I just showed you. LeBron's not the only person that leaves. But the coaches leave, GMs leave, multiple players leave. Just like when he shows up to a team, it's not just LeBron is showing up. It's LeBron with multiple players and sometimes coaches, new coaches as well, new GMs as well, right? So it's that that's just a myth.
An MVP. Wasn't MVP?
Of course.
So we talk about Westbrook the year he won. The Thunder were the 6th seed in 2017.
Yeah, but that was the first triple-double we
But what
they
I'm
don't
saying
have Westbrook on that.
But that's
team.
what I'm saying. Look what he has to do. Think about the most valuable, right? If you're the best team, that means you have other players that are good too.
First of all, every player that is making the playoffs for the most part are going to have teammates that are good. That doesn't go into MVP consideration. Now, could that be an argument based on certain circumstances? Yeah, if I got like a tie, if I got a player who's the number one candidate to win MVP, let's say for instance, if my number one candidate was Jokic and Embiid, and let's say Embiid has the number one record on the East and Jokic team has the number one record on the West, and let's say they averaged the exact same amount of numbers. They both averaged 30, 10, and 8. Both of them. Exact same record. They both number one in the East and the West. They both averaged the same thing. How do we separate them? Well, if I look at Jokic's team, and let's say Jokic he's done this without Murray because Murray was hurt, so he didn't have his number 2. And plus Michael Porter Jr. was out as well. So let's say he did this without his number 2 and his number 3, but had the exact same record as Embiid, but Embiid had Jason Tatum on his team. Then I would say, you know what? The tiebreaker goes to the guy who had the tougher challenge to get what he got. But what Gilbert is saying is, let's say Jokic didn't have, it was the same scenario, they averaged the same thing. Embiid had Tatum, Jokic didn't have his 2 and 3, but Jokic was the 6th seed. He's saying that you're supposed to give Jokic more consideration than the number 1 seed only because he had to do more. The award is not the hardest working man in the NBA award. It's the most valuable player award. You don't measure that by who had the most help and who had the least help. Like, that can be a tiebreaker, but it's not that. Not having enough help does not close the gap of a team that's the top team in the league. If the player is performing at a high level and they have the number 1 team in the league, he gets more consideration than the player that's in the 6th seed. I don't care what that player in the 6th seed did, with the exception of if he did something historic for the NBA. Okay, we'll give him consideration.
Right? You're going to probably have 3 all-stars on your team.
What do you mean you probably gonna have 3 all-stars on your team? Sometimes making all-star is a result of your team being great, because when you start creating this team and you voting for people, right? Every team don't have an all-star on it, right? So if you start going to the teams who have people that are performing at the all-star level, and you want to reward a team with multiple all-stars, it's not going to be the team in the 6th seed. So if your team is the number 1 seed and we say, all right, man, somebody got to have 2 all-stars on it, then you start going from the top. Just like when Detroit had that team, they wasn't stacked, but they had the best record in the league. So they was rewarded with a Rasheed Wallace all-star, a Billups all-star, a Rip Hamilton all-star. They had 3. They might have had 4 with Ben Wallace. I can't remember. And they was trying to get Tayshaun Prince in there as well. That don't mean Tayshaun Prince is just some just perennial all-star, just gonna make an all-star every year. That'll make an all-star if you gave him his own team. That just means we rewarded this team for being a number 1 seed with multiple all-stars. This year, the Boston Celtics are a number 1 seed. Guess what? When it comes to multiple all-stars, it's going to be Tatum and Brown. Brown's going to make another all-star this year. That's why he got that max contract. Do you think you can take Brown and give him his own team and that team will perform as well as Boston? Probably not. He's not. I don't think he's that level of player. He's not a number 1 in my opinion. Tatum's a number 1. I think Brown is a perfect number 2. And that's fine. Right? If they get 3 all-stars, who would it be? Would it be Porzingis? It might. But remember, Luka had Porzingis. He didn't make all-star with Luka. That says something. So if Boston gets 3 all-stars, that's a plus for Jason Tatum, not a negative. Especially when he used the same player in Porzingis and getting more out of him than what Luka could get out of him in Dallas. Remember that Luka system is a self-serving system.
The guy who's averaging a triple-double, he don't have no other all-stars. So that means he has to go 120 miles an hour.
That's false. The guy who's averaging a triple-double is what? Luka is close to a triple-double and Jokic is close to a triple-double. Murray is an all-star level player. Gordon almost made all-star last year. He's an all-star level player. You have all-star level players. Just because you're averaging a triple-double doesn't mean, oh man, I'll have no trust. Remember what I was talking about earlier when you can tap into those different areas in basketball, rebounding, assists, points, and all that stuff. The best way to utilize that is at a need to use basis. It's like emergency glass, break glass in case of emergency, right? Yeah. Magic Johnson can play center, but I'm not going to have him play center all year. But when Kareem goes down with the ankle injury, all right, Magic, we need you to play center. That's how you tap into that. Magic can also score 40 if he wanted to, but he's the point guard of the team. So guess what? It's not your job to score 40. It's Kareem. It's James Worthy. Those are the guys who I want to score. You set them up. But guess what? If one of them go down, hey, Magic, I need 40 from you tonight, and he can get it. That shows me more than what you saying, all right, we're going to design this offense for Luka. You take 30 shots a game, and you get all the assists. Everyone else just standing and wait for you to pass on the ball. And then we take your numbers and say, oh, man, these are great numbers. He ain't had no choice because he ain't got no help. No, you can't have help if you're doing everything. You ever seen a person moving their own furniture? You don't have to. Just ask for help. I mean, like seriously, just, you don't get credit for doing something that you don't have to do. You don't have to do all of that work by yourself. They're choosing to do that work. They pick the roster. They're picking the roster specifically to design it for Luka to do all the work because they have a player who can pass, dribble, shoot, score, get to the hole. They was like, we want to utilize all of that. We want to maximize all of his potential and everything in his arsenal so he can come in every game, empty the clip. Everything that you can do, we want to see it every single night. Every player don't play like that. Everything that you can do, everything that Magic could do, we didn't see it every single night. We seen it when they needed it. Right? So no, average a triple-double is not a sign that you didn't have no help on your team. Because if Porzingis almost made All-Star in Washington last year, and he's about to make All-Star in Boston this year, then he had an All-Star player on his team as well, but he didn't use him. Luka has an All-Star player on his team now, and Kyrie, they're not really using him like he should be used. He had an All-Star level player in Brunson on his team. They didn't use him. So no, average a triple-double is not a sign that you don't have help. It's a sign that you're not using your help.
Just to keep up.
That means
right?
Nothing about your.
You don't have to go 100. You can go 80.
See, and he's saying that a player that has all-star players and we keep using Tatum as an example because he has the best record in the league. He has Brown and he has Porzingis and he has Holiday, right? The same Holiday that Milwaukee decided upgrade was Dame Lillard. So let's not act like Holiday is just great offensive threat. He's a good defender, right? So you got Holiday, you got Brown, and you got Porzingis. So he's saying that Tatum don't have to go 80, but he's going 100% on defense as well. Going whatever he's doing on offense, just because he doesn't play point guard and be the primary scorer, you think he's not going 100%? He's going 100% on both ends of the floor. He's going 100% on both ends of the floor. Luka is going 100% on one end of the floor. Just because he's the point guard, he's going to have the assist numbers. He's going to have more assists. That doesn't mean that he's doing more work than Tatum, because he's not doing the work on defense.
You have other dogs with you, so you're not really going hard anyway. So most of the time, if you're the best player, the year Dirk won it, right? The team went to the championship the year before that. They lost to Miami. His team was the second best team.
This is one of the worst examples he's about to give. He's giving the Dirk example when he won the MVP. As far as All-Stars, Dirk, he won a finals MVP, and he won the championship against a super team in Miami with LeBron, Wade, and Bosh on the squad. He beat that team. He had his second best player was Jason Kidd, who was 39. Third best player was Jason Terry. Then he had Sean Marion, and then he had Tyson Chandler. What is Gilbert even talking about? What do you mean? Yeah, I think they are all good players, but they're not the type of players that what you're trying to make them out to be, like, you know, like he had Bosh and Wade on his team. He had good players that knew how to play basketball. That's valuable, right? He didn't have a team of guys where you was like, oh man, the only reason why Dirk is averaging all his points is because you got another killer on your squad. Name the player that was averaging 25 on that team, because last I checked, D Wade was a 25 to 30 point game per game type player. And a number one, who's been a number one, who was a top 5 player in the league, second best shooting guard in the league behind Kobe, a top 5 shooting guard of all time. And then you had Bosh, who was a top 5 at his position at that time. That was Duncan, maybe Garnett, maybe Dirk, maybe Amari, and then maybe Bosh. Or maybe Paul Gasol and Bosh. So he was top 5 at his position. Tyson Chandler wasn't top 5 in his position. At that time, J. Kidd wasn't either. Neither was Sean Marion, neither was Jason Terry. It was just Dirk was the only person who was a top 5 at his position. And he wasn't even top 5 in the league overall. That was Kobe, LeBron, Wade. Who else was playing by that time? Maybe Garnett. Maybe Dirk was top 5. Maybe Dirk was top 5. But this argument he's making is crazy. You mean to tell me because Dirk averaged 24, 25 and somebody else averaged 30, but Dirk team was the best in the league? It was the best in the league because of him, because of his value.
In the NBA. So going into the next season, they're number 2, ranked 2, right?
That's a bad
Shaq
argument.
and them all got hurt. So who's the best team? Dallas. So them doing what they're supposed to do, and he averages 24? You're not having an MVP year.
Why not?
Because that's not MVP.
Because the number?
That's not, yeah. What are you doing?
Now you're just inflating the number. Like, you got to have a certain amount of number, which is the highest number, compared to being able to play at an MVP level, which is a valuable level for your team. So, which is, if he was number 2 the year before, then they came back as number 2 again and they win it, that means that the most valuable player was on that number 2 team.
So there you have it, man. People don't have a criteria for MVP, and according to Gilbert Arenas, it's going to be based on who can give you the most number, and who can get closer to a triple-double, because that's the player that's going to give you more numbers. The player that's closest to a triple-double and close to 30 points a game that's going to be the person with the most numbers. And all you need to do is somehow get your team somewhere middle of the pack. Because he said if he can get number 4 in the West, then he can get MVP. But number 4 in the West, if you stack all the teams up, East and West, you're not going to be number 4 in the squad. I mean, in the whole league. You might be top 10ish, but then you got a player like Tatum that's the best record in the league. Those numbers that you're getting don't close that gap. And then it always seems like when you're arguing for a guy that's a triple-double guy, their argument is always they don't have help. So they're going to pretend like Kyrie Irving is not help. They're going to pretend like Porzingis was never helped. They're going to pretend like Brunson was never helped. Right? So whoever your co-star is, when you average a triple-double, because really what triple-double show me is that you're designed your player to be the end-all be-all for your offense. And in most cases, that player is exempt from the defensive end. Everyone has to play defense for him, and we hide him. So what you're showing me when you show me a triple-double is that you're not utilizing your co-star to the best of their ability, and they always have the same narrative that they don't have enough help. Westbrook didn't have enough help. Harden didn't have enough help, no matter who they brought to him, and LeBron didn't have enough help when he was running that system in Cleveland. But that's my thoughts on the MVP and Luka for that matter. The last thing I say about this, when Luka faced other MVP candidates, he's 0-5 this year. Jokic, SGA, Anthony Edwards, everybody else who is in the MVP discussion, when Luka faced them, he's 0-5. And against playoff teams, he also has a losing record as well, 6-7. So that's something to look out for as this MVP race heats up. But y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section. I'll catch y'all on the next episode. Peace.